Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte with you, getting ready for BYU football to take on the Kansas Jayhawks. It's going to be another late night here in Provo. Cold weather expected, and BYU's riding high, 9-0, number 6 in the college football playoff rankings, Matt. And Aaron Roderick spoke to the media today, and he acknowledged that this team, after the Utah game where they faced a lot of crowd noise and that affected them, but this team has turned the page, and they're getting ready for the Jayhawks.
I thought it was noteworthy at the end of this practice, the offense and defense broke into huddles. A-Rod spoke to the offense, Jay Hill spoke to the defense. We were fairly close, so you can make out some words. A lot of focus on turning the page from last week, which you can only imagine that's a challenge. In any normal season, Mitch, a Utah win could potentially be the highlight of the season, and yet there's more to be had this season because of their undefeated nature, 9-0, chance to get to the Big 12 championship game. There's a lot ahead of them, and that's very much the focus right now is staying healthy. You know, A-Rod noted it was a physical game against Utah, so taking care of your body and turning the page and focusing on Kansas.
And Kansas has gotten a lot better. They're 3-6. They're fighting for their bowl eligibility. But, man, they've played some good football as of late, and most notably that win over Iowa State. This Kansas team, BYU got a dose of Jalen Daniels. They were one of the few teams last year that actually played Daniels, and Kansas dominated BYU a year ago in Lawrence. Like, it was, the score looked kind of close, but really you never felt like BYU was going to win that ball game with how it started. And remember, that was a game where Kobe Bryant gets a scoop and score, and it was a total tone setter for that game. So, you know, players have said that this is going to be a meaningful game, and this team has had an ability to kind of really embrace storylines and kind of get themselves motivated. They don't need much from the outside, but they really lean into, hey, us against the world, and they still can kind of play that a bit because the prognosticators still think this is almost a toss-up game.
Kansas is good.
They are.
However, Kansas's downfall is BYU's strength, Mitch. They're not good at taking care of the football. And BYU is exceptional at forcing turnovers. That plays into BYU's hands. I also like, too, that Brandon Rose gave them some troubles with his legs. That's good preparation for Jalen Daniels. I also think, too, in a weird way, and maybe I'm reading into this too much, I spoke with Hinckley Ropati after practice today, and he noted that sometimes during bye weeks there is a tendency to install too much, and it slows you down, and and we saw that in the Utah game, right? There were times where plays weren't coming in quick enough. There was some confusion, early timeouts. It's a short week. You strip it back down to your basics, to what you're good at, and I think that will benefit this BYU team coming home. 1 week of preparation, kind of get back into the routine. I think that'll help BYU.
I caught up with Jacob Robinson and Will Farron this week. Will Farron, it was interesting. He noted that on Wednesdays in practice, he tends to kind of have a rest day. He's got a kick count, so in getting ready for a week, they keep track of the specific number of kicks because they don't want to overuse his leg, kind of like a pitcher in baseball. But Farron, of course, riding high, and rightfully so. I mean, after every practice this week, he's the toast of practice. Like, kids are saying, "Can I get your autograph?" That's pretty cool. Like a specialist being asked with an undefeated football team, and the kicker is the hot commodity. That's what this BYU Utah win does in the rivalry to create legends. But Farron's in kind of a good mindset, and Jacob Robinson too, kind of just cool, collected. He was talking about that pick he had that was basically a pop fly. Yeah. It was one of the easiest
baseball
picks.
References.
Yes, I was going to say. I just realized this is inside baseball here with Mitch and Matt. Getting ready for BYU and the Jayhawks at Miller Park. Doubleheader tonight. But no, this is. I think this could be a close game. Because I do think Kansas is much improved, but I just like BYU's defense. They always show up. You know, you look at that Utah game outside of the second quarter, they pretty much dominated Utah in those 3 quarters. I believe BYU's defense will show up. I think the offense, too. I mean, one of the best offenses in the Big 12. I know that Utah game makes you pause a little bit, but Utah's defense, one of the best in the Big 12. I think Utah's defense is better than Kansas's. I think BYU can get back to scoring more than 30 points this week.
And I think it helps to have Connor Pay back. He was at practice today. Aaron Roderick flatly stated to the media he's playing. Braden Keim out, hopeful to get him for postseason play, so there's a little extra update there.
Which is noteworthy, too, because you think, oh, bowl game pre-Christmas. No. BYU could be playing on New Year's Eve, and they could be playing into January. So that's, you know, the typical mindset of BYU postseason. You think, oh, that's December 16th. Like, no, that could get to New Year's Eve in January. Yep. So there is that chance he could come back, but they just came out and said, Isaiah Jada going to be the guy. And Jada they really like because they recruited him out of Snow College He ultimately went to Colorado. Then he, after a year with Coach Prime and the Buffs, he comes into the portal again, comes to BYU. He's been a backup this season, but stepped in against Utah and did a nice job, and he's going to be that guy at right tackle.
He did a great job against Utah, and I think you have a lot of confidence there, especially, I mean, those reps he had, you can't ask for better reps to get thrown into it. Game-winning drive. A-Rod noted he laid down a critical block on the Ropati run that cemented their makeability for the field goal. Because prior to that, Darius got you in the field goal range, tough kick from 50-plus yards. That run from Ropati, which was set up by Jada, got them into a really manageable field goal situation. I don't know why I feel this way, Mitch, but I feel strangely confident that this will be a semi-easy win for BYU football. They can't possibly be as bad on third down as they were against Utah. I think you gain a certain level of confidence when you beat your rival in that type of fashion. They got to avoid the hangover for sure. That's always a challenge, but they're back home. BYU plays good at home. This is a tough trip for Kansas. Not enough is being made about that. It's cold. It's late, way later for Kansas. This is what a 9:15 body clock kick for the Jayhawks. It's going to be a challenge for them. I think BYU's in a really good spot. You win this game, you're in an unbelievable position to lock down a spot in the Big 12 championship.
Crazy to think it's been 29 days since BYU played at LaVell Edwards Stadium, so 4 weeks. I bet Cougar Nation is going to be hyped up. Even though it's a late night kick, it's going to be cold. I expect Cougar fans are going to show up in a big way. Number 6 team in the country. How could you not show up in a big way for this team? They're playing well and at a high level right now with everything that college football has to offer in front of them. We'll have extended pregame coverage coming up on Saturday night, 6 p.m. on KSL News Radio, and we'll be inside LES with coverage on KSLSports.com. So we will talk to you next time. Matt Baiamonte, Mitch Harper, all the coverage on KSLSports.com.